Hello, I'm Grace Wells and I am speaking to you from Ennisdiamond, County Clare, and I'm really grateful to the John Hewitt Summer School for giving me this opportunity to read today, and I'm really sorry that the festival isn't going to be going ahead in July 2020. I have such fond memories of the John Hewitt Festival. I've been there twice, once as just a member of the audience and once as a reader. The first year I had the real honour of hearing Evan Boland and Sharon Olds read. So it was a real pilgrimage to go up there to Armagh and experience that. And I'm so pleased that I did. You know, it's very difficult to get access to writers like Sharon Olds, and to be able to do that was really something very special for me. And then it was fantastic to be invited back to read, and I read with Rita Ann Higgins, and that's a real special memory for me as well. I think the festival is just this beautiful fusion of writing and thinking. It's created by writers and thinkers, and that makes for a really special atmosphere. No event there has not had a lot of thought go into it, and nothing is casual or unnecessary. It's like all of those events really matter. And the other thing that I really love and admire about the John Hewitt Summer School is the way that it provides so many bursaries to people who could not otherwise afford to get there. And that means such a lot to me. I think that that's something that every festival should do with their taxpayers' funding, or their voluntary donations, or wherever they get their funding from. I just think it's such an important thing, because so many writers, so many emerging poets simply cannot afford to go to festivals. For years I was a lone parent, unable to leave my home, and to have that quantity of bursaries being given out to people, such a great gift. And I'm just really proud to be in some way kind of associated with the festival this year. So thanks a lot for the invitation. I thought I'd begin by settling myself by reading a poem of Evan Boland's Irish poetry. It's a poem that I'm particularly fond of. It's a very special piece, and I am reading it in memory of that fantastic occasion when I heard Evan Boland and Sharon Olds read. Irish poetry for Michael Hartnett. We always knew there was no Orpheus in Ireland, no music stored at the doors of hell, no God to make it, no wild beasts to weep and lie down to it. But I remember an evening when the sky was dark at 4, when ice had seized every part of the city, and we sat talking, the air making a wreath for our cups of tea, and you began to speak of our own gods, our heartbroken pantheon. No attic light for them, and no Herodotus, but thin rain and dogfish, and the stop-gap of the sharp cliffs they spent their winters on, and the pitch-black Atlantic night, and how the sound of a bird's wing in a lost language sounded. You made the noise for me, made it again, until I could see the flight of it. Suddenly, the silvery, lithe rivers of your southwest lay down in silence, and the savage acres no one could predict were all at ease, soothed and quiet, and listening to you as I was, as if to music, as if to peace. Such a beautiful poem by Evan Boland. So I thought I would read my own poem, one of my own poems. It kind of was inspired by going to an awful lot of festivals and not hearing anybody writing or reading about the state of the environment. And as somebody who considers themselves an eco-poet, that was very alarming to me. So this poem kind of came out of some of that. It ends with a line by Emerson, who was writing in the 1800s. And it's a very powerful line that I wanted to repeat again now. And I think it's just a very relevant line. So that's where the poem ends, with words from Emerson. The poem is called We Speak on the Outbreath. At the Writers' Festival, several days go by without leaf or flower. No glimpse of river, no shriek of white gull. At the Writers' Festival, few speak of the more than human world, as if our thinking has been tamed. So forgive my urge to slink a vixen through the bars of our cage. Forgive my desire to show dear the place where the wire sags and our boundary can be breached. Like a woman pulling curtains against the night, I want to draw a glade of trees around us and coax honeysuckle across this ceiling. Let these walls become a waterfall to drown the traffic from the street. We might sit then in the fading light, sit as the Quakers do, waiting for a spirit to move our tongues. Let the words you speak be worthy of the silence you break, a woman once said in my hearing, and I wished she hadn't. It was hard enough anyway to know what to say, how not to sound like the canary in my brain, cheaping its constant alarm. Perhaps it's too late to talk of the animals, to remember the way elephants curl their trunks to caress the bones of their dead. I was hoping this poem would be a songbird that could land on your open palm. But the small thud we didn't hear, when we were so busy listening to the sound of our own thoughts, was the small winged body of nature breaking against glass. It's a hurt bird we carry in our hands. My friends wake with its feathers in their mouths. The next breath any of us draw will not descend from up on high, but has risen from the ground beneath our feet. What enters our lungs comes now from bush and briar and yellow whin, from each leaf on every tree in the shrinking forest of the southern hemisphere. So how can I not speak of growing things? The lone cowslip in the ditch, the last orchid in the parish, the latest disappearance from disease or carelessness, which reminds me of the black car battery someone has tossed in the harbour at Dungarvan, its acid leaching a toxic drip into the veins of our intelligent web. When we speak on the out-breath, but must first draw in the fine threads of this world. Whatever we speak of now, we will need to be like blades of prairie grass that bend in the wind of what's coming. Perhaps the only sensible thing would be to howl, the way Europe's last 12,000 wolves are surely howling. A sound somewhere between grief and battle cry. The tribes of us in this together, tasked to heed Emerson and advance upon chaos and the dark. So thank you very much. My very best wishes to you and to everybody at the John Hewitt Summer School, and all hoping well for 2021. Thanks a lot. Bye.